Hi everyone, very good evening and a warm welcome to each and every one of you in today's masterclass by Coding Ninjas in association with Naukri.com. For today's masterclass, guys, we'll have our mentor, Mr. Ashwin Goyal. He'll be just joining in next 1 to 2 minutes, and we'll be starting our masterclass for today. To all the participants who has already joined into the masterclass, we'll be just waiting for another 1 to 2 minutes since we are expecting a bit of more participation today. Till then, if you want any of your friends, family members, colleagues, or anyone to be the part of this masterclass, you can share the same link that you have received over your mail, over your WhatsApp, and they'll be able to join using the same link, guys. So keep sharing the link, get your people joined, and then we'll be starting our masterclass for today. Okay, that's great. So I believe the people that you have shared the links with have already joined. Also, now we have our mentor, Mr. Ashwin Goyal with us. Welcome to the masterclass, Ashwin. Uh, so yeah, uh, welcome to the masterclass. And now I would request you to take on this masterclass from here. So handling it over to you now.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I'm just checking. I was just looking at the time. Should we wait for a minute or should we already start? Just checking because um, all right. Okay. Just before we start, I would like to understand from the audience here today two things. One is your current work experience, and second, your educational background, right? So, what is your experience if you have any work experience? And second, what is your educational background? If you can write both of these things in the chat, it will be helpful for us to understand you, first of all, and I'll accordingly structure the session. I'll tweak the session accordingly. So, if you can write that in the chat, that will be helpful. And I will wait for everyone to respond before I move on. Let's see. Okay. So we have 5 years BSc IT, no experience. I'm pursuing MCA. Okay. So even if you're a student, just write your like educational background. That should also be helpful. Okay. Then we have operations and logistics executive, 5 years BSc IT, no experience. I'm pursuing MCA. Okay. All right. Interesting answers. We have people from across the board. Let's see. So MBA, MPhil also we have. Also MSc. Right. Can more people respond? Can we get more responses? Semi-qualified CA. Okay. So we have CAs also now. Interesting in the call. All right. All right. This is helpful. So we have people from MBA. We have people from CA background, statistics, again, BA, diploma in mechanical. Of course, a lot of engineers are here. MBA, MCA, and BBA, BCom. All right. So we have people from across the board, all kinds of backgrounds, and you know, everyone wants to learn data analytics. One more thing I want to understand, because we have a huge variety and all these varied disciplines, people coming from these various disciplines. Can we understand what is your motivation for joining this session? Why do you want to, what brought you here today? Right? If you can write that also in the chat, whether you want to learn something or maybe just job switch, or what do you want to achieve through this session? If you can write that here, it will be helpful. Let's see. All right. Okay, first of all, we have people from, yeah. Okay, MBA, BSc, BCom, MBA again. All right. Very different backgrounds. Right, let's see why you want to join. So to learn more more about Power BI, adding one more project in the portfolio makes sense. Career transition, learning and knowledge for personal growth, to learn and get a job. Okay. Job switch, job. Interesting. So we have a lot of people coming from from a motivation of switching jobs, which also makes sense. And also we have learning about analytics, explore opportunities in the field of data analytics and data science. Very interesting. Let's see. So I do see some people. So three broad categories. One is learning Power BI or learning data analytics, and second is like people who want to switch to a more technical role or to the data analytics industry. And the second is, the third is understanding, so just upskilling, right? So you are already in this domain and you want to grow, you want to upskill, you want to jump to a higher position. All right, this is helpful. Perfect. Thanks for giving all these inputs. Let me now start with the session. So first of all, I'll be your host for today. Thanks for joining. I am Ashwin. I am currently working as an AI product manager. I manage a bunch of AI and data science products. Some examples being like a Copilot. There's a travel Copilot that we are building. Also recommendation engine, rebooking, and a bunch of other AI products. Prior to this, so HRS Group is essentially a B2B travel company. So it's one of the largest globally. It's based out of Europe. And second, before this, I was working at Udaan. Udaan is India's largest B2B e-commerce. And there as well, I joined as a product analyst, was working across data science and product analytics projects. And yeah, prior to that, graduated from IIT Ropar. And I've also been associated with Coding Ninjas since the last 4 years now as a mentor and instructor. And I've seen people at Coding Ninjas like achieve all these three objectives that you have come here for. So upskilling or growing in the same role, right, or in the same industry. Second, switching to a data analytics role, to a to a slightly more technical role. And third, just learning, right, just getting the knowledge and just boosting skills. So that's broadly the three key things that I've seen people also do from in the last 4 years at Coding Ninjas. And we've been enabling people to do this. Just quick plug here is essentially that we've been enabling people to learn data analytics by the means of very practical projects. First of all, practical learning. And we do have also, just in case you're interested, data analytics job bootcamp, which essentially is a 6 months program which enables you to achieve all these three motives that you've written here, right? And I'll drop the link also in the chat in case anyone's interested. So it's a 6 months program, like I said, comprehensive training given by industry mentors. So professors don't teach here, right? People from the industry, experts from the industry, they teach here through business case studies and of course live learning. And we also are partners of, we're a sister subsidiary of Naukri.com. So we also get those exclusive opportunities around data analytics. I've shared a form here in the chat. If you're interested, do fill this. But let us start. So how many of you have good knowledge of Netflix. I mean, have you watched shows and series on Netflix? You would know Netflix altogether. But more importantly, are you aware of IMDb? How many of you have heard of IMDb? What is IMDb? IMDb. This is I let you answer. What does IMDb do? This is something that we'll utilize the most in today's session, right? This is the most interesting thing. But just before that, one quick check. Do you want some time to fill this form? If you want, like you can take 10 seconds to fill the form. It's a very quick one. So you can do that. Meanwhile, I'll just open my Excel, right? I'll start with Excel, then I'll jump to Power BI. And the people who are not filling the form, just let me know what is IMDb. Have you ever rated on IMDb? Have you ever given any rating on IMDb? Saheli, Anisha, and Sanjay say yes. Okay, no, Sanjay says no, I think. It's moving very fast. Have you rated a movie on IMDb? That's my question. Very interesting. Never rated. Makes sense. So I think about 50% people have rated. Are you able to see my screen? Please confirm once. Okay. Are you saying yes to the previous question? No, you're able to see. Perfect. All right. This is good. So let's see what is, first of all, Netflix, you all know, is an OTT platform, the leading OTT platform in the world, right? Without a doubt. And IMDb is a rating platform, right? I should have started with presenting IMDb itself. Let me do that actually. What is IMDb? So IMDb is a rating platform where you get to learn more about ratings, movie shows, all of that. Let's see. I'm just presenting this to you, and you'll be able to see what exactly IMDb is. All right, I hope you can see this screen. I've just searched for IMDb. This is the website, imdb.com. And there are these movies and shows, and then there are ratings. For example, there's this movie called Inception. Have you seen this? Have you heard of this? Inception. Right? This is available on Netflix, by the way, right? So if I search for Inception, you'll see that this is available on all these platforms: Amazon Prime, Jio Hotstar, Google Play. Not Netflix. We don't see Netflix here, but it may be available on Netflix as well. Just giving an example, right? So Inception, first of all, this is the movie. Then we have a bunch of things here. If you see, we have like the year. I hope you can see this. How many of you have seen the movie Inception? Can we launch a poll very quickly? Can we launch a poll? Okay, it'll take time, so I won't launch a poll right now. But let's see. 2010 was when this movie was released. PG-13 is the age certification of this movie. What is PG-13? It's the age certification. Just tells us which age groups are allowed to watch this movie, which are not. So that's there. And this is the runtime. This is in hours, 2 hours, 28 minutes. But most importantly, there is the rating and the votes. So let's see. IMDb rating is 8.8 out of 10. This is extremely good, right? By IMDb standards, this is super high. And then we have I can rate. I can log in and provide a rating. I can probably, I don't want to now just blur this picture, but I'll just rate this. And we also have how many people have rated for the movie, how many people have given reviews, right? So this is just the reviews, but then we also have how many people have voted for this movie, how many people have given votes. Maybe I'll see that after logging in or something, but that's also a parameter here. So this is broadly IMDb. This is top rated movie number 14, this is won for Oscars and these many wins. Let's now go back to Netflix. This is okay. Let me know if you're able to hear and see me properly, because one or two participants complained about voice. So let me know if it is breaking at any point. right? All right, perfect. Let's see. Now, this is the data set that we are going to use today. I'm expecting questions on please share the data set, all of that. I'll do that at the end, right? I will share the data set because I want to enable you also then to build your own dashboards and visualizations and Power BI stuff. And also maybe display that on your resume and then sell it out on LinkedIn also. That's fine. We do that at the end. But more importantly, let's understand what is it that we are going to do today. So we do index. So the first column here is index. This just tells you the number, right, of the movie or show. This is not very relevant. More relevant here is a unique ID. That is the ID column, right? This is unique for each movie and show. And then we have the title. You would realize and recognize many of these titles. Taxi Driver. We also have Hindi movies. Like, some of these movies you would have seen probably. Alibaba, Chalis Chor. Also English movies. So movies from across, Bollywood, Hollywood, and so on. We have movies from all countries. And then we have a bunch of things. We have two things basically, a movie and a show. Hope you can see this as well now. Yes, so we have a movie and show. We have both movies and shows. And then we have a short description. For example, for Taxi Driver, that was the first movie. We see a mentally unstable Vietnam War veteran works as a nighttime taxi driver in New York City, and so on and so forth. So that's like the description. And now we have the release here. When was this movie or show released? Right? If there are multiple seasons for a show, when was it first released? And then we have age certification. Now, if we see Inception here, now this is Inception. 1 second. Where is Inception? Yeah, this is Inception. So what do we have? Again, we have the release here that like we saw, right? And then we have the age certification. We just saw this PG-13. What is 148? This is the runtime, right? Runtime. So in minutes, of course, this is the runtime. And then we have on IMDb, because IMDb would also recognize this movie by some ID. So on IMDb, what is the ID of that movie? That is the IMDb ID. Most important is IMDb score, right? IMDb score and IMDb votes. That's the most important. And then we have IMDb votes. So score and votes. I just removed the column that I didn't need for now. I'll explain that later. But we have IMDb score and how many people voted for this movie, right? Score and votes. So score is just the rating out of 10, and votes can be like infinite also, as many votes as, so it depends on, how many people are voting. Now, the idea here is that individually, I'll show you two examples. Let's see this movie called Chota Bheem. Have any of you seen this movie? Yeah, maybe let's take this movie, right? And I see that the rating is pretty high, 9, but the votes are 5. So let's just copy this here. All right. So I have like the movie and the rating, right? This column over here, IMDb score and votes basically. Right, so IMDb score is 9 for this movie and votes is 5. I've just picked this from the main dataset and I've put it here just for you to see, right? Now the score is extremely high. This is probably one of the best movies in this dataset. 9 is like by IMDb standards for movies is probably the best, like almost the best score. And then we have this movie, obviously we saw this Inception, right? So Inception, what do we have for Inception? So we have like 8.8 as the rating, right? Let's see. So 8.8 is the rating and votes is 22 lakh, right? 2.2 million votes. And this is Inception. Can you tell me which one is a better movie overall? Which is a better movie? I mean, the score is lower for Inception. Yeah, I mean, score is obviously lower for Inception. So would you consider only the score or votes both? Would you consider only the score or only the votes or both? What would you consider? Yes. No, but why only votes? Kapil, why only votes? Because see, I mean, it has to be, right? You see, Inception is extremely thousand probably times better than Chota Bheem and Krishna and Mayanagri. Um, Inception is, it is a global hit. It's a blockbuster. Everyone knows this. This is a movie that is one of the best ever created. But the score is lower than Chota Bheem. But very few people rated or voted for Chota Bheem, right? This only 5 people voted. Here, 22 lakh people voted. So very clearly, now how do you combine these? Now I want one single metric which has score as well as votes, right? I want to create a single metric that that gives me this picture. What if I ask you in this data set, which is the best movie or best show? What would you say? You would look at like a combination of score and votes, right? Ideally, that's what you did right now for Inception and Chota Bheem. So what would you do? How would you combine? Yes, combination Webber is right, but what combination? Can you tell me? How do I combine these? Can we get to a quantitative sort of mathematical sort of an answer, or do we now do this more subjectively? But there are like 5,200, like 5,284 movies in this data set, or 83 movies in this data set. How would you do that, like subjectively? Not possible. You'll have to create a compound metric, a combination of metrics. Normalization, Shambhavi, I mean, you can still see, normalization would not help here. I mean, you can bring this, there's no limit, right? Votes can be like 10 and votes can be like 10 million also, like 100 million also. So you bring it down to a scale of 10. Some numbers would, I'm not sure, become really, really small, and some would be 10. So I don't think normalizing would be a good option. Votes to rating ratio. Yeah, I mean, can do, but let me show you how that looks like. Equal to votes divided by rating, and here equal to votes divided by rating. Now, see, the difference in this case is huge. That is expected also, that's fine. But the denominator is very, very similar. I mean, this is a good metric overall, but the denominator is like 9 versus 8.8. Does not really capture the difference really well. There's a very small difference in the denominator, so it does not really capture the difference really well. What if the votes for this movie were also like similar? Then I may not get a very good picture. I'm not denying this is still a good metric, but can we look at can we look at better metric, more metrics? Both plus also the global connect. Didn't understand this, Arun. Percentage of votes, not really. Weights doesn't make sense. What weights would you assign, Sijo? So I don't know what weights to assign, right? Which one is more important? Both are equally important. So do you assign a 50% weightage? Like, do you take an average? This into 0.5 plus this into 0.5. I mean, both you considered at the same scale doesn't even make sense, right? 11 lakh. What do you do from this now? So I mean, because the scales are very different, it doesn't make sense to like take an average or even a weighted average of sorts, unless you first normalize and then. So you'll have to look at better metrics. Let's look at, yes, score into votes is a good metric, not the best one, but it still is a very good metric, right? So score to votes. Let's look at how this looks like. So if I multiply, let's keep the previous one also, right? Votes divided by, sorry, I think it was, votes divided by score. And then we also have votes into score. What is this? This is, yes. Now this looks interesting. If you see, this is also not a small number, like 0.55 is extremely small. We want numbers that are not like extremely small, right? And the differences should be visible. Now, what if there was a movie with rating like 8.8, but still 5 votes, right? So this one would just be 1, but here it would be 44, right? 1 versus 0.5 differences are not huge, but it's a 0.5 difference. versus 44 versus 45, at least the difference is visible. On a chart, when you plot this, the difference would still be visible. So I'm just saying that this metric is better, votes into score, right? It really punishes movies that are very low in score or votes, and it really rewards the ones which are really high on score and really high on votes. So I think votes into score is what I would go for here, right? Of course, there can be better metrics, but I personally like this one. And I think it's the easy one also. It makes a lot of sense. Now, what I would do here is I would just define this multiplied by this, and I would use a flash fill functionality, Control D, for filling the formula for all the rows here. This is what we are going to use. And let's now jump to Power BI, right? With this new column, this is what I did here is data manipulation, right? After data cleaning, so now we already have very clean data, but typically we need to clean data also. So after we've cleaned the data, we need to manipulate and we need to transform, right? And we need to engineer the data. That's where, that's what I've done here. I've created a compound column or a new column that is more important, more significant, more useful, more consumable than any of the individual columns here, both of the individual columns, score and votes. All right. So that is like the part one of the session. And now we really jump to Power BI. This is where, you really see how we create a dashboard in Power BI and how do we really leverage the power of Power BI and, really make sense of the data. This is like 70-year data. If you see the release here, this spans from 1953 to 2022, right? So almost 70 years of data. And we also have like from across shows and movies, we have a lot of examples. So we have about 5,000 movies and shows in this data set. Power BI desktop is what we switch to now. Power BI desktop is free for Windows users. Mac users, you have my sympathies. Very sorry, but I don't know that I don't have like a way to get Power BI desktop for free for you, unless you like purchase like the subscription or like the Power BI service, which is an online version of this, or you can use a virtual desktop. But that's only Mac users. Windows users, this is free for you. Let's now go to Power BI. I'll just jump to this. Meanwhile, please lower your hands if you've raised it. We'll take questions towards the end anyways. And if you have any questions, I will continue to monitor the chat. I'll probably answer a couple of questions. If you have any question, yeah, please write in the chat. I am now also presenting Power BI. Let's see. Okay. Please let me know when you can see my screen. All right, I think it should be visible now. Perfect. So this is Power BI desktop. This is Power BI desktop. We can create like a blank report. One second. So we can create a blank report, and that's what I'll do. We can import data from Excel, SQL Server, or we can just paste data. We can use sample data. We can also get data from a lot of different sources, right? And you'll see those sources here. Excel workbook, XML, JSON. You have like IBM database, SAP, Teradata, PostgreSQL database, MySQL database, Google BigQuery, Snowflake. Like you can connect data from any source to Power BI. Also Azure, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Mixpanel, right? Some of you in your own companies, you would have seen this Athena. These are like, the tools and the databases that companies are using today across Azure, Google Cloud, Google Cloud and AWS. And then we also have like all the other sources, Zoho and everything. All right, so what I'll do here is I'll just import data from Excel and we just look at getting data now. Yes, I will just pull the Netflix TV shows and movies data set. So that's how I'm importing data. I would also like to learn how the image and videos running on the Netflix. Image and videos, that's not a data analytics topic. That's a totally different topic, Pankaj. I think that's not a data analytics topic. Yeah, I will share the Excel file towards the end. Yes, just while this is loading, I would quickly also mention that yes, we do all of this and more. We do a lot of projects in the boot camp. I am an instructor myself in the course. I myself have created the Power BI curriculum in the course, and we teach like SQL, Excel, Power BI, Python, statistics, and also machine learning. So that's what we teach in the course in the boot camp. I've shared more details here, right? Feel free to fill the form, and then someone from our team will contact you. And people attending this session typically also qualify for scholarship opportunities. All right, so let's see. I am loading the data. I've just clicked on load. I'll click. I've just clicked on load, and now the data is getting loaded onto Power BI. It gets stored in the cache, and then we can transform. We can do operations. If I clicked on transform data over there, I would have the option to change data, to add columns, do data cleaning, manipulation, remove duplicates, errors, outliers, all of that. So that Power BI also provides you with an option to transform your data. Right, so it is exactly 2:30 by my watch here. Right, it would take us about 17 minutes is what it takes always to create this Netflix dashboard. I've done this probably 100 times now. So 17 minutes and you have a full-fledged, beautiful looking dashboard, right? Maybe we take 3 more minutes to just make it more beautiful, but 20 minutes flat, right? That's what it takes. Let's see. Let's start. Now, what we need here is, first of all, you see all these columns, right, that you saw there are here. So some extra columns sometimes get added because we were doing some analysis there. So I'll just remove those. So what I'm doing here is I'm just like removing these extra columns. There are a bunch of fields. I'll just say delete from model. Right, this and we can also leave them as is. That's also fine. Maybe I'll delete the remaining ones later. That's fine. So we have age certification, description, ID, IMDb ID, score, votes, index, release year, runtime, and then we have this new column that we created. You remember? Score into votes, right? And then title and type, right? And then we have all these. So now the first step is I always like to start with filters or slicers, as they are called in Power BI. So slicer, right? This is, you just select a slicer and you just drop type here. So the type can be a movie or a show. And then I add another slicer for the release year. Right? So we have both these slicers here. This is like a filter essentially. And I will also increase the size if it helps. Okay. So we have the release year. When was the movie or show released? Now the way to create visualizations, I always say, is start with why. Right? Also a book, very famous book by Simon Sinek. It all starts with why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to create a chart? What is the question you need to answer? The first question I need to answer here is, the question that you all need to know today: which is the best movie, right? And which is the best show? So always start with a question. I will obviously do a lot of these things, like I'll create 20 different charts here, but it needs to always start with a question. What is the question that I need to answer through the data? Start with why. Why do I need to, create a chart here? So the first question is, which is the best movie? So what I do here is I create, let's say, like a stacked column chart, right? Or a clustered column chart, normal column chart. And I just drag the title on the x-axis. How do I find the best movie? Can you tell me, should I use score, should I use votes, or should I use score into votes? Yes, tell me. Should I use score, IMDb score this, or IMDb votes, or should I use score into votes? On the y-axis, what is the y-axis? I mean, obviously, I would believe you know this, right? So I would create like a chart this is the x-axis, like this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. And then I would want to create like this is the best movie Inception, and then this is the second best movie Chota Bheem, and this is the third best whatever. So that's broadly the idea. And what do we have? Yes. No, score, no, Ishika, not score only, and not Pradeep, not votes only. I mean, see, which is the best movie? That movie must have a high rating or a score, as well as needs to have a lot of people giving that score or giving that rating or giving those votes. So it has to be a combination of both score and two votes. And I'll just take the average here. Can you tell me which is the best movie from this? Do you see this chart first of all? Can you tell me the best movie here from this? Okay, that's easy. Which is the third best movie? Okay, 1 second. First of all, I need to apply a filter here, right? Type movie, right? I've applied a filter type, and then this automatically, of course, gets filtered, right? Just give me a second. So I'll just increase the size of this, and then you see this. Can you tell me the third best movie from this chart? Third best, yes. Right. And obviously I can like change like columns, I can like add ribbons also like this, or I can add like data labels also. This probably is even better. This is how do I do this? I go to the format visuals pane, and I go to the visual pane, right? Visual section here. And I mean, I can just, go to columns. I can change the color to, let's say, this or this, maybe dark, and we can obviously change the transparency as well. And I can even add borders like this, right? And can make them slightly transparent. I can increase width. So a lot of options. You need to play. That's why the first thing I mentioned was this is free for you, right? Windows users specifically. So please go back once I share the data set. Do play with this. Absolutely, take out the time and put in the effort to explore all the features and functionalities. That's the only way you learn, right? You cannot learn this without doing. Vidita asks, maybe get your LinkedIn ID. Okay, I can share that. Yes, I've shared it here in the chat. If you are putting this like on LinkedIn or anything, when you create your own dashboard, please tag me as well. I will also amplify typically, because there are a lot of recruiters also in my network. I typically amplify, and those people then get these posts that you posted in your feed, like in their feed, sorry, and then your post gets amplified, increase opportunities and everything. So that's there, right? Let's see. So now this is just one thing, right? This gives me the best movie, and of course this also I can select the show. Can you tell me the best show here? Can you tell me the best show? I've just selected the filter for show, and we can see from here clearly the best show is Breaking Bad. How many of you have seen this? Some of you would have seen Breaking Bad, right? All right. Now, the next thing I want to understand, see, there's typically a bias also in the data sets, right? And that's something only good data analysts identify. Bad data analysts, they tend to like totally ignore that stuff. But the first step should always be to understand the bias, right? So, like I said, start with why. The why here is I want to understand the bias. Is there a bias in terms of, do I have very few movies for the early years, like 1950s, 1960s? Or do I have like equal representation from all the years, all the decades? So I want to understand here, line chart, I'll just create a line chart, and I'll put time on the x-axis, release year on the x-axis basically, and number of movies, basically, the unique ID, count of unique ID, distinct count of unique ID. Can you tell me, is there a bias in the data set? Very clearly, yes. We have very few movies, like 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 movies before 2000, but then after 2000, suddenly the number of movies in my data set shoots up. And there's clearly a bias. So whenever you're talking to stakeholders, leaders, business team, and your manager or the CEO or whoever, right? Always make sure that you make all of these things, you tell these things upfront. You make these things very, very clear so that their decision making is not affected. When they make a decision, they know that there is an inherent bias in the data set. That's a very, very important thing for you to do. And that again is something that separates good data analysts from bad data analysts. So that's the other thing. Now, what next? What's the next question? I want to understand like age certification splits basically. How many movies are PG-13? How many movies are like probably some other rating? So I'll just switch back to movies and let's look at like a split between age certification. How many movies are this and how many? So if I'm a producer or a director today, I want to understand like which movies really or how many movies belong to one category, and I may as well go in for that category, right? For that age certification. So let's create a pie chart or a donut chart here. Age certification in the legends and number of movies in the ID. Age certification in the legend. All right. So a lot of these are like blank. A lot of these movies are blank, right? I mean, we don't have age certification for them. So what I would do is I'll use the filters pane here and I will just select age certification because I want to see the split of movies wherever this value exists, wherever age certification value is there in the data set. So I'll just remove blank from here. Now I get a better picture, right? This is clearly a better picture of, shows and movies. What's the split of age certification? All right. Ashwini says you're not audible. Am I audible? Like, can everyone confirm? Okay, all fine, right? Perfectly fine. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes it breaks, so I just want to check. All right, perfect. So this is a very interesting split. See, I am not telling you what I'm doing. I'm telling you why I'm doing it. So why did I get this? Because, let's say I'm a movie director. I want to understand like how many movies belong to which certification, or in general, I want to understand how many movies belong to which age certification, right? That's the question that I'm asking here. The next question can be, has the overall quality of movies gone down in the last 70 years? What do you think? Again, I'm starting with a question. Notice how I create dashboards. Notice how I do these visualizations. And I've also only perfected this craft, by doing, of course. I've created maybe thousands of dashboards. So how has the overall trend been? Have the movies in terms of quality increased overall? Has the quality increased overall or has it decreased? So what I'll do is whenever you have time, right? Whenever there's something related to time like year, month, minute, second, hours, those kinds of things, it's always better to create a line chart, right? It's a good practice to create a line chart whenever matters around time are concerned. In this case, also I'll create a line chart because there's a matter of time. So release here on the x-axis. What do I put on the y-axis? Can you tell me? I want to understand the quality of movies and shows. Can you tell me what I should put on the y-axis? Should I put only score or should I see, ideally I should put both score into votes, right? But in this case, yes, the ideal answer is yes. I need to look at score into votes, both. But I can just do like an average rating also. That's also fine. Average rating. I just want to understand, how has ratings overall changed in the last few years. So I'll take not the sum, right click here and go to average. Right, average of IMDb score and votes. Now, what do you see here? Can you tell me? And do keep in mind that we have some bias also, right? So can you tell me what's your learning from this chart? Take a minute. Tell me what's your learning from this. Is the quality overall increased, decreased, or what? Like I'll create like, let's say a forecast also for you. Right? This is like a forecast. Okay, it's not really helpful here because it's a straight line. Let's skip the forecast. I'll probably create just a trend line. Okay, now you will be able to generate a hypothesis better or generate an insight better. So this is what is called reading data, right? Reading a data analytics visualization. So can you tell me what is your learning from this chart? And I'll give you a few seconds for this. All right. So many people are saying um, quality decreased. Many people are saying downward trend. Yeah. I mean, yes, there is a dip, right? But it's very, very fluctuating. It's highly fluctuating. Why is there a fluctuation? Can you also tell me? Now, this is a slightly like this is a level 2 question. Why is there a lot of fluctuation? There can be a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that we have less movies. For these years, you see the trend becomes a bit more constant. But here, one or two movies would be just affecting this. That maybe in the tooltip, what I will add here is the number of movies, and you will notice that you will notice that we don't have like a lot of movies. Can you see this? This dip here is just because of one movie. I hope you can see the count of ID here. This dip is just because of one movie. So the fluctuation in this chart, also an interview question, very frequently asked. I would also ask this if I were to interview you for a data analytics or a Power BI sort of session. Why is there a dip? Like why is there a lot of fluctuation? Because we have very few data points. If we have more data points, we smoothen out the curve. We see like the trends more pronounced, more significant, all of that. So now here the trend is not that pronounced, but here it is very, very clear because here we have a lot of movies, right? That is just one example, like one reason why you see fluctuations. There can be, of course, a lot more reasons. So that is like my next chart. The next thing I want to understand, I'll probably just add a description here. Like I'll add a card visual for writing the description over here, just so that we can read the description if we select one movie out of this. So that's a description. I'll just decrease the size also. All right. Yeah. So if I select Inception over here, I can now read the description for Inception, right? That's how this is structured. All right. One more question I'll probably say here, I'll probably understand is runtime. Does the has the average runtime changed over the last 70 years? How have the movies been like on average runtime? So again, time, whenever you have time, it should be a chart. So runtime on the x-axis, sorry, runtime on the y-axis, like average runtime on the y-axis, and then we have release year on the x-axis. Can you tell me, has runtime increased or decreased? And for your convenience, I go to the analysis tab and create a trend line. This is the answer to the question, right? But if you don't have this, it sometimes becomes tricky to like get to this answer. That's why trend line in Power BI is really helpful. So average runtime has overall decreased. Is it because of now this is where you start creating those hypotheses. In typical data analytics lingo, this is what we call a hypothesis. Can you give me one hypothesis? One hypothesis is, has the average attention span? Yes, Aditya is right on point here. Has the average attention span decreased? And that's what directors and movie producers also sense, and that's why they produce shorter movies, because longer movies may not be performing better, may not be performing well. So movies that are longer may have lower overall score into votes. Can we also get that from this? Can we also create that? Can we see that? Now, if you present this dashboard to your CEO, he or she will say this, that can we also see that from this? This is not a complete picture. Can we also see, has the score and the rating, like the rating and the votes changed by runtime? So let's do that. I'll create another line chart, a lot of line charts today. Has the average score, like how does runtime affect the score basically? So runtime on x-axis, and I'll take average score into votes here. Can you tell me? Of course, there's a lot of fluctuation, but can you still tell me what do you learn from this? Is it better? I'm just talking about movies, by the way. I hope, yeah, I've just selected movies. So can you tell me which, like, probably make this, yeah. So can you tell me, has the average runtime affected? Like, has the runtime affected the quality of the movie or show? Like the score into words? Okay, looks good now. I'll reduce the size of this. And maybe I'll just change the color as well to this. No, not of this. Maybe I'll add a border. Okay, so I'm just trying to make this now more beautiful as well. Uh, so there are lots of options, right? Okay, now this is interesting. Yeah. Now what I will do is, what you're learning from here then, uh, there is an effect. I mean, I'll create a trend line and you see there's a slight increasing, but that's probably because of like the outliers here. So I would not really take this input here, that it's increasing. There's a lot of fluctuation. We don't have like it's neutral. Basically, it's not much affected. Correlation coefficient is like uh, there's not a lot of correlation basically, right? Okay. So now this is like a dashboard that we've created. It took us, like I promised, 20 minutes, right? With all the beautification and everything. So it always takes us this time. Within 20 minutes from like 5,000 rows of time, 5,000 rows, you get a data visualization like a report or a dashboard that you can derive a lot of learnings from. You can probably derive 100 learnings from this, right? So if I just select, for example, Inception, everything changes accordingly. Or if I just select, let's say, this category of all the movies released after 2000, let's say, right? See, everything changes accordingly. Now, clearly after 2000, there's a very clear trend here. No, runtime decreases very significantly. It is decreasing, and also average score is decreasing. So maybe movies are not getting better at all. Movies are Quality of movies is probably degrading, like in terms of IMDb score. Now this is a huge learning, right? This is like a mind-boggling insight. Now you would not probably already know this. Okay. Now one more thing you can do here is like you can continue to make this like more beautiful. You can like go to general, add effects. I always like to add visual borders and shadows, right? And you can obviously change the color as well. And that's exactly what I'll do here. Like you can change the color, you can also change the transparency. So for example, if you're choosing a darker color, right? For example, I choose, let's say this. I mean, either I can change the font color to white and everything, or I can just reduce the transparency over here. That's also fine, right? Yes, now this looks better. And then obviously you can add a visual border and a shadow and just structure these accordingly. Similarly, I will do the same for the other charts, border, shadow. There are a lot of different options. I would not be able to anyways walk you through all of them. So you need to like really go through those um, yourself, right? That you can do when you download Power BI Desktop and try this yourself. All right. And this is not the last step. Like after you've created this, do demonstrate this on your resume, because a lot of people do a lot of projects, but very few are able to really sell them well on their resume, LinkedIn, or any social media channels. What this helps you is this helps you sell yourself better, of course, and also enables you to start getting those opportunities which other people may not get, because see, you stand out already if you start demonstrating all these projects and the work that you've done. This just signals to the world. So for example, if you're posting on LinkedIn, this just signals to the world that you are passionate, you are interested, and you are taking the extra efforts, making the extra efforts to really learn data analytics and creating those projects and everything to sell yourself better, right? So that's basically what this helps you with. All right. So yeah, I mean, this is broadly now a more, let's say, interesting version of the dashboard, right? You can obviously choose your company colors if you have like a set of colors that your company always uses. You can change also the theme of the dashboard, right, accordingly. So that's something that can be done. All right, now this is complete. This basically would be like, in 20-25 minutes, we were able to get to this kind of an insight. There can obviously be, this can now become significantly better if you spend more time, if you get more data, better data, all of that. Okay, now I can't wait to see what you create. And like I said, if you're posting on LinkedIn, do tag me as well. We see a lot of, typically after the session, we see a lot of such posts and everything. That would be helpful, and maybe we can, I'll also amplify. It is very easy, like extremely smooth. Everything is super intuitive, and it's basically just drag and drop, right? Basic understanding of the data, and then so what did we do? We first explored the data, and then we did some drag and drop. Color palette option is available, yes, and you can also like add a theme or something, right? So canvas background also you can add, canvas settings. Yeah, I mean you can do a whole bunch of things, right? So and then like you can, for example, this is something that is always also helpful. So this is like a smart Q&A functionality that Power BI has, right? I'll just remove these extra columns because these are then coming in the Q&A. So this is like AI generated Q&A. You can also do this, like you can also use this here. This is another smart Q&A functionality, very, very interesting, that Power BI provides you. And then of course there are these other AI functionalities, prepare data for AI, Copilot. Every time I open Power BI, I see something like, or let's say every month Power BI starts adding new things. All right. Perfect. So this broadly is, yes, now I will share the data. This is broadly what I wanted to cover. Let me just make this also bit, yeah. Okay, perfect. So, how much time is generally taken to explain the dashboard to stakeholders? It depends. Actually, I mean, you can have a 60 minutes meeting so usually there's a 60 minutes meeting because there's a lot of discussion that happens. So but still, I mean, you may have like a 30-minute also, or maybe a 2-hour meeting. That's also possible. Yes, I'm happy that you learned a lot, but I'll also share the data set right here. Let me do that. Meanwhile, any other questions? See, questions around the job bootcamp also I will now take, and anything else I will also now take. But let me first share the data set with you so that you can practice yourself. You can like do this yourself. I'm sure you will do a better job because I just had 20 minutes. But like, do share with me what you're building, right? And you can like add a lot of different pages. These are like chapters in a story, right? So that's where, okay. I see that I've shared it, but I don't see it here yet. Okay, I've shared it. Can everyone check? Have you received the dataset? Yes, yes. I have my own YouTube channel as well. Anupam? Yes, absolutely. I do have my own YouTube channel. I do have like SQL, Excel, Power BI, everything. I've shared it here in the chat. And feel free to like go through it. Watch videos also if you find something interesting, like and subscribe, obviously, right? And then this is my LinkedIn if you want to tag me and everything, right? So that's fine. Perfect. How do you present this dashboard to the stakeholders? That's the most powerful thing, right? Data storytelling. That's like if there's one thing that's the most important in Power BI, sorry, in any data analytics project is data storytelling. How do you sell this product well? Like how do you present your project better, or how do you strongly convey the learnings and the insights from your dashboard, from the data visualization, from the project you've done to stakeholders, to the business team, to the leadership, your manager, CEO, whatever. So data storytelling is extremely important. We present this and we share a learning. We present one chart, we share a learning. So it's typically a presentation So you have, let's say, like this picture in a presentation, and then on the top of the presentation, like the title is the insight. It's usually a one-line insight, and then there are like smaller bullet points around other learnings and everything. All right, perfect. So more questions. So I see also questions now around, probably think it's probably here in Q&A. So we would also have questions around the job bootcamp. Typically there are. If you have any questions around the job bootcamp, you can now ask. I'll also invite the program expert from Coding Ninjas now, so that they can also take up like other general questions as well, you know, around the job bootcamp, around how this can really enable you. Now, this is just one example of the thousands of sessions that we do in the data analytics job bootcamp, right? Of course, not thousands, but a lot of sessions. Most of the sessions that we do are similar, case study based, data set based, real like a real world problem solving sort of a case. That's what we do, and that's how you learn, right? That's the best way to prepare for interviews. That's the best way to learn in today's day and age. So that if you're interested, I'm sharing here again the data analytics form if you want to fill, and yeah. And I would quickly also invite the program experts from the Coding Ninjas team to answer questions around the job bootcamp. Can you please tell me again from where right side purple box came? The top right, that's the Q&A. Or if you talk about like the description, that is the card visual, right? So there's a card visual that we have. Dataset I've shared, Sumesh. Go like scroll up. I have shared. All right. Everyone said yes, so I'm assuming that everyone got the dataset. Perfect. Thanks a lot. Yes, over to you then. I'll just
Yeah,
invite.
sure.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I would like to thank you, Ashwin, for such an insightful and such an informative session taken. Moving forward, as we are getting a lots of questions around the job bootcamp by Coding Ninjas. So, for that, let me introduce our program manager, Mr. Pinku Pandey. He'll be just taking another 10 minutes explaining each and everything around the bootcamp, how this would be helpful for the people who are looking for the transition that they want into the industry, and as well as for the people who are already working into the same industry and want to grab better opportunities by upskilling themselves. So, thank you so much once again, Ashwin, and welcome to the masterclass, Pinku. And now I would request you to take on this masterclass from here. So, over to you now.
Hi guys, my name is Pinku Pandey. I'm working as a senior program manager in Coding Ninja. So I'll be taking care from here the session. I'll be carry forward the session, and thank you our host for taking this informative session. So before going ahead, let me do one thing. Let me share my screen and showcase you how Coding Ninja Job Bootcamp will be helpful for you to do a transition to become a good data analyst, to get into your first job as a data analyst, or transition your domain as a data analyst. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So before explaining about the data analytics of the job bootcamp, let me explain you about Coding Ninjas. So basically, Coding Ninjas, we are providing the services from last around 8 years, right? So we are in this Indian market for the learning, preparation, placement. This thing from last 8 years, we have a strong alumni base of 1.5 lakh plus, and with the 1400 alumni who's working with Mang organization. And if I explain you about the unicorn, so we are having around 103 India is having around 116 unicorns, out of which 103 unicorns is having our alumni who are working over there. So if you tell about the job bootcamp impact, so we have around 128% average salary hike. The learner who have joined up with our bootcamp, completed the learning journey, then they got a placement. Around the average hike is around 128%. With the highest CTC of 36 LPA, right? Some learner asking what is the placement track record. So our placement track record of job bootcamp is 95% plus, and the learners who have joined up with us and got the placement, out of them 68% learners got a 2x hike from their current CTC. If I explain about the job bootcamp, what are the offerings that we are giving to you? Right. So here in the job bootcamp, it's a 6-month live classes journey. Here we are providing the majorly 4 tools. That is, we are starting with the introduction to data analytics, then data analytics with Excel, then data analytics with Power BI, and then data analytics with SQL, going forward with the Python, alongside statistics and the hypothesis testing. Then the EDA part and the machine learning and generative AI will be there for you as an optional. These are the tools that we are providing. After that, because after completing every tool, as the mentor told you, you have to have a great resumes, and on that resume you have to have a great project. So after completing every tool, you will get minimum 1 or 2 projects from here, just like National Air Quality, Pro Kabaddi League, Indian CPI, inflation, IT department with Power BI dashboard, retail store, e-com business, COVID-19, US healthcare dataset, as well as the credit risk modeling. This is the project that you will get and the real life case studies you will get. After this Coding Ninja Job Bootcamp content of data analytics is infused with the AI, because AI is the future, right? This content is infused with generative AI, with the Excel, Power BI, SQL, and Python. All the things will be there for you. Okay. After this, some learners are asking what is the total duration of this bootcamp. So the bootcamp duration is for 6 month live learning journey will be there for you, right? If I explain to the learning mode, as I told you, it's a live learning journey. It will be weekly 3 days classes will be there, right? Either it will be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, right? So the 2 hours every day, the class timing would be 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. alternate days, right? And while watching the classes, if you are getting any kind of doubt, you can ask your doubt over the class. Or let's suppose if you have missed any class or you want to rewatch the class, you will get the recording in the next day of the entire live class. And while watching that live class, if you are getting any kind of doubt, we have TA support available from morning 10 o'clock till in the midnight 12 o'clock, one-on-one, weekly 7 days, 365 days in a year, right? As I told you, the timing would be morning 10 till in the midnight 12. And this doubt support will be there for you starting with the chat. If his chat is not sufficient, they will give you the option through audio call, or there you can start your screen sharing. TA will get the access and clear your doubts. After that, for mentoring yourself, right? How you are learning, are you learning properly or not? If you are missing any classes, for that we are having a you will get a relationship manager who will be there for you to support you throughout the program, helping with the queries, right? Connecting with the trainers, experts, as well as tracking your progress, weekly assignments, and regular tests. And even they will provide guidance to ensure you are achieving your career goal. This is the teaching part. Then, if I tell you, because in the initial, as I told you, it's a job boot camp. Job boot camp, it does not mean only learning, it's a learning, preparation, and placement. So, before going for the placement, we'll prepare you to go for the placement. For the preparation, we are starting, we are giving you the one-on-one mock interviews in terms of the technical rounds. Then the soft skill training. Some people might have the communication gap, so for that technical soft skill training will be there. Then the resume review, because nowadays resume plays major role. You have to have a great resume. For that, resume building training will be there. Then for every project, you will get the project mentorship, project guidance will be there, and the interview preparation will be there for you. Okay. And then, as I told you, it's a placement assistance program. So if I tell you about the placement assistance, so we have 1,200 plus hiring organization who are hiring from us, right? We are having around 800 plus opening every month. Alongside this, we have, as I told you earlier, we have around 1.5 lakh alumni base. You will get the alumni referrals as well as the industry reference. And if I tell you about the monthly job opportunities, we have 300 plus monthly job opportunities in every month. Someone is asking what is the fees structure. Before going for the fees structure, let me tell you about our impact of Coding Ninjas Job Bootcamp. So right now we are having around 323 alumni who are working with Microsoft. If I tell you about Google, so we have 418 alumni who are working with Google. Alongside, we are having 377 alumni who are working with Amazon. And you can be the next. If you are learning properly, if you are getting the certification done, if you are preparing well, you can get a job in these companies very easily. Someone is asking what is the fees structure, right? Again, before going for the fees structure, let me tell you some alumni details. So we have alumni like Utkarsh got a placement in right. Then Divyanshu Khandelwal got a placement in Zest. Srinivas got a placement in Zindal Steel. Kashish Arora got a placement in Equity. So the fees structure, many of you are asking about the fees structure. So the original course fees structure, if you check over the website, that come down to 1.5 lakh for learning, preparation, and placement. Stay with it. There is certain scholarship we are offering to you. So the learners, the candidate who want to get the maximum scholarship, you can drop off your number over the chat or Q&A to avail that. If I tell you about the scholarship, so the scholarship fee structure is only and only 1,25,000. You can get a flat 25,000 scholarship on the job bootcamp of data analytics. If you want to get the maximum scholarship, if you want to discuss about your career roadmap to a tech professionals, right? You can do one thing, you can drop off your number over the chat or Q&A to get that, because if you miss the scholarship, you might have to take this boot camp in original course fee structure. And guys, waiting for your numbers, waiting for your questions over the chat or Q&A, right? And this 1,25,000, you don't have to pay it in one time. We have an easy EMI option. So initially, to get enrolled with us, you just need to pay 5,000 to book your seat, and this 5,000 you can pay through UPI, credit card, or the net banking, and rest 1,20,000. You can go ahead with our NBFC partner. We have our finance partner. Through that, you can go for 3, 6, 9, 12 months of no cost EMI, or else you can go forward with the standard EMIs for 18, 24, 30, and 36, but there will be certain interest will be charged. And those guys who are using credit card, you can go forward with the credit card no cost EMI of 12 months. And after this, I'll start the Q&A round. Those guys who are having any doubt, just raise your hand, drop off your question over the chat or Q&A. I will pick it up and I will clear it out. And those guys who want to get the maximum scholarship, do drop off your number over the chat or Q&A to get that, because if you miss the scholarship, you might have to take this boot camp in original course fee structure. Waiting for doubts and waiting for questions alongside waiting for numbers, guys. If anyone is having any other doubts, I'll start the Q&A round in next few minutes. Before that, those guys who want to get the maximum of, those guys who want to get the scholarship, do drop off your number over the chat or Q&A. And those who have any doubts, just raise your hand, drop off your question over the chat or Q&A. I will pick it up and I will clear it out. Waiting for doubts, waiting for questions. So any doubts, anyone guys, just raise your hand, drop off your question over the chat or Q&A. I will pick it up and I will clear it out. As I can see, many of the learners have shared their number. Thank you for sharing up your number. Okay, so few of the questions are there. Okay, so data set you will get in the mail if there is anything. Abu Bakar, can you please come again with your question, please? Thank you, Raj Kumari, for sharing up your number. And guys, anyone is having any doubts, just raise your hand, drop off your question over the chat or Q&A. I will pick it up and I will clear it out. As I can see, Sangeeta. Sangeeta, I have given you the option to unmute. You can unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Abhishek Singhal, no, we don't have pay after placement option. It's a pay upfront one where you can pay it in EMI. Okay, Vandana. Vandana, I have given you the option to unmute. You can unmute yourself and ask your doubts. Vandana, do you have any doubts? Mohammed Inshal Sheikh, you will get the certification over the mail. Okay, Vandana, don't have any doubt. Naga Venkat Anup, I have given you the option to unmute. You can unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Somnath Saha, the fee structure is 1,50,000. After scholarship, the fee will come down to 1,25,000. Any doubt? Anyone, guys? Okay, Mohammed Inshal Sheikh. Mohammed, I have given you the answer. Then any doubts? Anyone, guys? Sangeeta, you will get over the mail. Guys, any doubts? Anyone regarding the job bootcamp of coding ninjas? Any doubts, anyone? So the classes, Vandana, will be on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. will be your class timing. Definitely, you can get a job after completing your BCom, Parikshit. So those guys who are interested in joining up with us on the data analytics job bootcamp and want to get the maximum scholarship, do share up your number over the chat or Q&A, because if you miss the scholarship, you might have to take this bootcamp in original course series structure. Any doubts, anyone guys? As I can see, Raj Kumari has shared a number. Raj Kumari is not there. Surya Prashant, I have given you the option to unmute. You can unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Surya Prashant, if you have any doubt. Any doubts, anyone guys? Guys, I'll wait for next 10 to 15 seconds. Till then, anyone having any doubts regarding the job bootcamp, do share the number with the chat or Q&A to get the maximum scholarship, because it's for the first few learners. Shweta, I've given you all the answers. Do let me know what are the questions that you are having. Are you able to download the video? No, because over the YouTube we cannot. The data set you will get over the mail if there is anything. Any doubt, anyone guys? Yes, it is live on YouTube, Muhammad Insal. Any doubts, anyone guys? Guys, anyone having any doubts, just raise your hand, top of your question over the chat or Q&A. I will check it up and I will clear it out. And those guys who want to get the maximum scholarship, do share up your number over the chat or Q&A to get the maximum scholarship. So no further doubts. So okay, certificate you will get over the mail. Any other doubts? Shubham, we have a great placement track record. If you're learning, you will definitely you can get a good placement. Any other doubts, guys? So no further doubts, so no worries, guys. Thank you for joining this wonderful session. Those who have shared their number, be with your phone. You'll receive a call shortly from one of our program experts. Kindly get in touch to get the maximum scholarship. Thank you very much, guys.